They come to the table, they're begging to make a deal, because they're begging to make a deal. I hope we don't have to do the work, but we may have to give them another big hit. We may have to give them another big hit. I'm not sure yet. Good job.
How close were you to striking around? You said
I was an hour away. We're all set to go.
President Trump holding off from an attack on Iran, saying that Gulf leaders asked him to wait a couple of days to make time for peace talks. But he says that the strikes could definitely still happen. And right now, stocks are falling as high Treasury yields and oil prices spook investors. So you can see the markets are down across the board, but not huge, Lou Bassanese, given the fact that we've run up a ton. In the A block, we talked about Seagate, and even though it took a big hit today, for example, you look at its year-to-date chart, and it's astounding. Many of these stocks are performing that way, despite what's happening.
Yeah, countless companies that I wish I had bought more of that are up 400-500% that we've missed. But I think what's important here is to understand the president's just sequencing here. He's not surrendering in any way, shape, or form. He's saying, look, there seems to be, based on our allies, a path to peace. Let's give them a day or two, but we're going to keep it out here. It's like saying we're going to have diplomacy, but there's a loaded gun sitting on the table. You're negotiating knowing that aggressive force is going to be coming next if you don't get to some agreement. But I would say this, Iran's one currency that they always use is time. Delay, 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 and hope that something breaks in their favor in that way. I don't think the president's going to give them that opportunity.
Delay works for them, but Taylor, you've shown us charts where one of your charts had 3 different lines on it. It showed the sort of average span of a conflict and how the markets then react to that. And that one I happen to love because I like to look for patterns when things happen. But this pattern might end up being a little different than things we've seen in the past, which is, conflict ramps up, conflict calms down, but then it might ramp up again. And I wonder if there's room in these markets for them to get spooked if there is violence again.
I totally think that there absolutely is room. And we talked about this in the first hour, but what spooks the market is high yields. Yields are moving higher because we're pricing in higher growth. I think the market views that as a positive. And then stocks can go up because stocks can track wage growth, which will go up when economic growth goes up. But if yields are rising because of inflation concerns, because of budget deficit concerns, because of Treasury supply concerns, because of a term premium, I think that that's much more of a headwind to stocks. And then basically you just do the math. The present value of a stock is my future value discounted by the discount rate. The discount rate's high, the present value is low. There's that inverse relationship. And so I think that's what the market right now is trying to figure out. Dagan's talked about this a little bit more than I have, but yields are rising not so much because of high growth, but maybe much more because of inflation and other term premiums and other government deficit borrowing issues. My only other concern, this is not U.S., this is global. We talked about Japan, we've talked about the UK, we've talked about Germany. So when global yields are rising, these are global central banks that will have to be hiking instead of cutting. So again, just a little bit more headwinds, I think, to watch. Quick note, and I'll leave it here. 62% of fund managers in that Bank of America fund manager survey thinks that a big move in yields over the next year could drive that 30-year borrowing cost to 6%. We're at a 5.20 right now. That could be a big headwind, or it could be an opportunity. Where else in the market could you guarantee a 6% return for 30 years?
Yeah.
Maybe people then start to flood into the market because, hey, I can get 5%. Why not?
Yeah, quickly. Those same fund managers were a month ago net underweight the market heavily, and then in May's survey, they rushed back in from the sidelines. So I don't put too much, you got to put some context around it.
Part of the narrative right now, as the president is just deciding what his strategy is going to be and how he wants to execute it, that's how I'll put it. On the left, they're saying taco. Trump always chickens out. And even for my taste, I've heard a little, we're going to go for it and pull back a few too many times.
President Trump clearly wants a resolution that goes way beyond what the JCPOA did, that what Obama did. You will not develop nuclear weapons, and we will get at the uranium that's in the country. But I don't know, because I don't want to compare it to what happened with the tariff tantrum a year ago. But these are levels that triggered a rejiggering of the tariff scenario in terms of the yields. And there is a huge camp, to Taylor's point, that does think these higher yields are in line with growth expectations in the United States. That you've got growing industrial production, you have retail sales, core retail sales climbing. You throw in the tax refunds and the 100% expensing that's boosting both investment and consumption, and this is normal, and it's not anything to be afraid of. And though, quite frankly, investors see stocks as an inflation hedge.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, they have been historically.
Right, because companies can raise prices, and you don't want to own a longer-term bond, but hey, I do want to own a company with mega pricing power.
Yeah, that's why I've never owned gold, because I'd rather go get biotech companies or tech stocks that appreciate it.
I'm trying to not be glass half empty. I'm trying to be glass half full. Iran, I don't think that anybody who voted for President Trump wants him to leave before his job is done in Iran.
Yeah.
But there's a great deal of political pressure on that White House, given mortgage. It's not just gas. It is inflation and it's mortgage rates, particularly with the 10-year.
But even with that, he reiterated today that he's not leaving until he's done with this the right way. But gas prices are an issue for people, over $4.50 a gallon heading into a holiday weekend. I know for 4th of July, you've done barbecue comparisons on food prices. All of these issues are things that are going to sort of be ratcheted up for people because they're experiencing them. And those prices only get higher as we head into July 4th.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to your point about how this is Trump playbook to a T, you kind of put it out there, you maybe pull back a little bit. But that's when he's maybe negotiating with other world leaders or with taxes or with bills that are going through Congress. I think when I go out and I talk to voters, there is a real concern because these are our brothers and sisters that are, potentially going in for another strike. And then on top of that, the very real impact is gas prices. And it is for July 4th and for travel, but it's for every input. Whether you're driving somewhere or your goods are getting driven, this is something that drives up the cost. And when I talk to people, I think even voters of Trump are frustrated with this changing timeline. Because of course, when it first started, it was a 1 month, and now we're still talking about it. And I think supporters of the president want him to finish the job. The Iran problem has been a problem for decades. It has been a problem that no president has really been able to satisfactorily handle. This is a president that says he can, but it takes time. And I see from voters, because he keeps changing the deadline, that almost seems to do more of an impact than it actually taking the amount of time that it takes. Because you don't dismantle a nuclear program or a regime overnight or even in 1 month. But when you keep changing the deadline, and as a result, prices for gas continue to go up ahead of the summer and ahead of a big holiday, I think that really has an impact, separate even of the actual politics that they're going after.
People just want to know generally what to expect. I hear you on that, and they can sort of brace for it, but the moving the goalpost is hard.
Yeah.